Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us wherever you are. This is me, Jacob Hauser, at RAISE, which is Raise Awareness of Coaching in Education. Thank you for joining us, and with me today, Jasmine, our guest today. Shortly later, hopefully, we join us another guest. I'll leave that as a surprise for now. And yes, and I'll give you the chance to introduce yourself shortly later, Jasmine.
Okay.
What we do, as always, here at Race, we introduce a topic that is related to coaching. And today we're going to talk about coaching and parenting. We know the benefits of coaching to so many topics. And Jasmine, so I'll give you the floor to introduce yourself to our audience. So,
Thank you
say,
so much, Jacob, for having me. As you
our
know, I do
pleasure.
lots of lives myself. So normally I'm interviewing. So I guess it makes a change to be a guest. But yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm a certified wellbeing expert and I work with educational institutions, giving workshops and talks to students, parents, and teachers. And I also work within companies supporting parents in the workplace and helping them support their children through various challenges.
right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it.
So, okay. So, Jasmine, I always love to ask my guest or our guest, coaching. What is to you? What is coaching?
I guess that's a good question. The coaching that I studied is coactive. So for me, coaching is working with somebody to help them find the answers that they already have, but maybe they can't access them through different coaching techniques such as powerful questions, maybe visualizations, perspective exercises, goal setting, like a whole variety of different activities. But the point
Right.
is, we're working together, and me as a coach is helping my client find the answers themselves. I'm not telling them, you need to do this. I have the answers. You have a problem. You should do this. It's definitely not giving advice. It's about, yeah, helping them find their own answers.
Right. That's interesting. So you led me to our next point and question.
Yeah,
Um, Most of the time, we might confuse coaching with um, therapy, um,
definitely.
mentoring, teaching. What's your take on that?
Definitely. I think that's such a good question because also there's so many different types of coaching, so many different types of therapy.
Right,
I mean, there's just so much. So it's so overwhelming. It can be so overwhelming and confusing. But basically, this is such a basic answer, but therapy, therapy, I would say, I mean, depending on which one, but generally
right,
therapy is based more about the past and having meaningful conversations and digging deep into the past. Whereas coaching is more about present, future, and taking action.
right,
So ideally, I think it's great if you can. Of course, I know it's expensive, but to have both, have a therapist and then have a coach if you can, because then I feel like you're learning about some of the beliefs you had as a child and how you created those, or why you created those,
okay,
and then you get to a point where maybe you've healed, you've done all your healing, and
okay,
then I feel like then you're more ready in the right mindset for yourself to think about what you want to achieve in your life now, and then the coaching can help you get there as well. But of course, you don't
right,
have to have therapy. I'm just saying that's
right,
for me, that's what I found really beneficial. And sometimes with my clients as well, I say, maybe you could have a therapist as well. Because,
okay,
coaching, especially with me, when I first started my coaching journey of working on myself, because of course it increases your self-awareness. And then I
right,
started realizing that actually, oh, there's some things that I haven't healed. But I wouldn't have realized that had I not done the coaching. But the coaching
right,
wasn't enough to help me do that. So I had
right,
that. and it was absolutely amazing. And then I came back to the coaching, and I just had a different perspective on everything. And so, yeah, I think if you can do both, do both. But if that actually answers your question.
Oh, that's a really interesting point, because you are a coach, you're an experienced coach, yet you have a coach yourself, and that brings me to the
Definitely.
point that every coach needs a coach,
I think so.
and that how powerful coaching is. So
Yeah.
so back to coaching and parenting.
Okay.
All right. So I'll let you tell us your take on that now.
So coaching and parents. So, I give a lot of workshops in schools
Right.
for parents. And, I do workshops specifically to help parents support their teenagers going through maybe, I don't know, transition, or helping them with social media or things like that. But also what I normally do when I'm coaching the parents, if it's an interactive workshop, of course, a talk is not as interactive, but if it's an interactive workshop, before we start talking about, maybe the challenges that their children or teenagers are facing, I think it's
Right.
really, really important for them to learn some coaching techniques themselves and to experience coaching for themselves. So I always take them on a sort of journey so they can experience some of the coaching techniques, because I feel like once they've experienced them,
Yeah.
and then when I start talking to them about what techniques they could use with their children, they've already experienced them, so they understand and they can see the benefits. Whereas, rather than just me saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, I do think it's very beneficial if I let them experience them. And, and it can be just simple. They're not very deep, these workshops.
Right.
Because obviously they're not coaches. So we're not going to go like as how I did in the training. But, simple things like powerful questions, the importance of asking your children or teenagers questions rather than just jumping in trying to fix their problems. How that can build their confidence and resilience and help them gain self-awareness as well.
And these workshops for parents, and they target teenagers.
It depends on the workshop. So I do workshops. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, I did a workshop for parents to helping them support their tweens and teens in the social media world. So in that workshop, I let them experience some techniques, but then I also gave them exercises. So I gave them exercises that they could use with their children as well. But I let them go through the exercises first and got their feedback, and we spoke about the learning and things like that. So that was helping children on the online world. But then I've given workshops to parents helping their children through school transitions, when they're leaving junior schools, going to senior schools, and all the challenges that come with that. But also I've given workshops just for parents, just so they can help themselves build that relationship with themselves.
Right.
So then they can it can help the relationship with their children as well, because at the end of the day, everything starts with the relationship we have with ourselves, doesn't it? That sets the tone for all the relationships we have within the family, work, friends, all of that. So it's really, I guess, the thing that is all of my workshops have in common is it's all about raising and increasing your self-awareness.
Right.
And making you conscious. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned relationship and social media, and then school transition.
Yes, and effective communication. That's a big one as well.
Communication. 4 points, really important. Hi, Nancy. Welcome. We welcome Nancy at this point. We can't hear you. Technology at this.
Yeah.
That's all right. We
effective communication. That's a good one, because for example, maybe they're not understanding their child, or the child's not opening up to them. There's just been a communication breakdown. So I will then give them some techniques for them to experience with each other, put them into pairs or groups, so they can experience these techniques, so they can see for themselves how effective they are and what they learn from those. And then they can use those techniques with their children.
Right. Would you like to share with the audience some techniques, if that's okay, with communication?
Oh, well, I guess so. For example, of course, active listening is extremely, extremely important. And it's, it's about, because a lot of parents come to me and they say, my children are just constantly on the phone, iPad. And I say, well, how often are you on your phone and your iPad? And the thing is, more often than not, they're using their social media a lot too. So the first step in active listening is put down your phone. Like when your child has something to say to you, really make a song and dance of, I'm putting down my phone and I am going to listen to you. Because, when somebody's on their phone and you're trying to talk to them, I mean, well, we know what it feels like when we're not being listened to. So really make a point of your listening, put everything down.
So sorry to interrupt you here.
Yeah.
So you said active listening. So for Nancy and I, maybe we might understand what active listening is, but for the audience, what is active listening?
Well, active listening is you are not just there. You're not just there waiting. Somebody's speaking and you're just waiting for your next turn or something like that. You are literally, your ears are open. You're not thinking about anything else. You are present. You are active. You and the person who's talking to you. You are listening to what they're saying. You are asking them questions. Maybe you're articulating back what you can hear.
All right.
So you are really in the moment with that person. And, we all know what it feels like when we're being listened to and when we're not being listened to.
Right.
We know, don't you, if someone's not really listening. Your children are the same. And that's what I always say with the parents. And so, yeah, so start with active listening, then validation. So, children need to be validated. So, it's the same. I hear you. I feel you. And articulating the words back, giving them that space, not jumping in, asking the powerful questions. Questioning is very important. And taking a step back, asking a question, stepping back to listen, asking another question, listening. I mean, it's actually, when you think about it, it's so simple anyway. But so many times we have that urge to just jump in and solve the situation. But sometimes, we just need to be listened to. Same for our children. They will figure out the answer themselves most of the time.
True.
And, when someone's listening and you start talking about your problems, you come up with a solution yourself anyway, don't you? Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, it's those kinds of things, really. And I think a lot of the time we're not aware of that. We're not active listening, or we're not asking the questions. We're just not aware of it.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into that awareness again.
Yeah. Nancy, how's the mic?
Oh, I don't think it's working, is it?
Still, yeah. I don't know. It's what I've been to that mic. Could be the heat wave.
Yeah, the heat wave.
It's affecting everything and everyone.
Oh, that's a shame, Nancy, that we can't hear you. I can't believe that. Okay. Well, so yeah, they're the 3 tips I would say: active listening, validation, powerful questions.
Right. So you mentioned powerful questions as well. Can I clarify on that as well?
Yes,
so
please do.
Good explanation is you've given good explanation on active listening. So there should be signs like echoing and showing that we are listening. So echoing, as you said,
repeating the words back,
repeating the words. How about powerful questions? So how can we ensure that our questions are powerful?
Well, first of all, there would be an open question. So probably starting with what, how, when.
Yep. Yeah.
We try to avoid why a lot in co-active coaching, because we think
that's nice.
they could be judgmental. You know, why do you do that? Why are you not doing this? Sometimes. So they wouldn't have a yes, no answer. So an open question and a thought-provoking question. So, and the fewer words, the better, actually.
Oh, nice.
For example, if I said, you know, what do you want? I mean, that's quite a powerful question, isn't it? And it's only what do you want for 4 words. What's
Right.
important about that?
Right.
What do you love about that? You know, those kinds of questions. So the answer, when they find the answer, is probably going to help them.
Right.
Because if you have a judgment question, why, like, even with yourself, why am I so stupid? I mean, the answer is not going to help you. But you could say, what can I do to help me or something? You know, how we word our questions is very important for ourselves as well.
Right.
Because our brain will always come up with an answer. So fewer words, open questions. And, you know, you can even Google powerful questions.
Okay.
If you're not
Yeah.
sure, you can even Google them. You know what it's like. There's so much information on the internet, but yeah, it depends what the topic is. What do you need right now? What can you do about this? What action can you take?
Right.
You know, yeah, there's all sorts of things. And yeah, sorry, were you going to say something?
Right. So for parents and the children, if they're going to use coaching, at what age should or can they start?
Well, you know, I've coached primary students up to 10 years old, and I know some coaches who have children who are like 5 and 6 years old, and they coach them. So I mean, I don't coach that young. For
Right.
me, it's 10 plus. But I think every situation is different, but I think why not? Why? I mean, children go to school at 5, yeah. So
Right.
if they're going to school at 5, then I think they can be coached. Of course, it would be different. The way you would coach a 5-year-old would be different to the way you would coach a 10-year-old, 15-year-old. You know, you'd use different techniques. Maybe you wouldn't go so deep. Maybe you would do a lot more drawing, visualizing. Every child's different as well. But yeah, so I think that depends. For me, it's 10. I'd say 10 years old.
Right.
But like I said, I know people who coach younger. And
Yeah.
I'm sure children have therapy, don't they, as well? So I guess it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, 5
Yeah.
years.
I was going to ask if coaching can start as early as 5, then would there be different techniques? And you kind of tapped on that. So
Yeah, definitely.
can
You
you
know,
dwell on that a little bit?
like I gave a workshop to some schools in the UK, primary students actually. So they're like 10, 11 years old.
Right.
And I just wanted to make sure similar questions. I asked them similar questions, but it was a very arts and craft lesson. So, you know, it was all about accessing their self-confident self. So, and what would they say to themselves? What do they say to themselves when they're self-confident? But there was lots of drawing and colours. So it was quite light.
Okay.
But it was still powerful. And the thing with primary students is, you know, they have nothing to hide. They just want to say,
Yeah.
they just answer the questions, you know, they just jump right in.
Right.
So I learned a lot from them, a lot, because they weren't afraid to say how they felt. And it was really interesting because then I did a similar workshop, obviously adapted it to teenagers,
Yeah.
completely different, but still really powerful. You know, I think because I was a teacher for so long as well, for like 20
Right.
years, and I worked with primary, secondary, and adults anyway. So I think when you have that, when you know how to build that rapport,
Yeah.
you're used to the different age groups, I think it's easier for sure.
Right. Now, as a parent, you know, I think you feel the, you know, big part of it is the love and then the obligation, the need to care, to give. Part of it is to give advice, right?
Not as a coach, but as a
Not
parent,
as
you
a
mean?
coach, as a parent.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So how do you then bring both coaching and then that need and urge to always give advice, correct? And part of it is like, do this, no, don't do that. That is good for you. That is not good for you. Which is, is it's just being caring and
Yeah. And
loving.
both for work, probably. Probably you need both as a parent.
Okay.
I guess sometimes you might have to give advice. That's okay too. It's not like
Right.
saying, if you're a parent, you have to be a coach.
Right.
It's just about bringing, if for in each situation is probably different, but maybe there's one situation you're having your child's going through having a challenge or something, and you're giving
Yeah.
them advice, you're offering them solutions, but it's just not working. The fact is it's not
Okay.
working. So maybe try asking them some questions, try listening to them, try stepping back and seeing what they think would help them and taking a step back. Try it. It's all, and that's really what coaching is as well. It's a lot of trying, exploring, brainstorming. Let's see if this works. If it doesn't, we'll try something else. It's about being open in the moment, being present, and just whatever works for you, do it, because there's not a one answer fits all,
Right.
and something might work one day, but then another day it won't. So I think just having access to these tools
Right.
so you can use them if you need to, but it doesn't mean that's what you have to do. So having both advice is good as well. Sometimes I'm coaching clients and they ask me, they want some advice, and I say, okay, if I'm going to give you advice, I won't be your coach now, I'll be your mentor for a second. I'll put my mentor hat on and then I
Okay.
give them some advice. But it's just saying that coaching is not that, but it doesn't mean
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah. I think. Yep. Well done, Nancy.
Hi, can you
Hi.
hear me
Hello.
now?
Yes,
Loud
how
and
are you?
clear.
Yay! I'm good. I switched to my mobile actually because I lost it in the laptop.
Oh, no,
So, yeah, now it's working. How are you? I'm really sorry about this technicality
No,
issue.
don't.
that's okay,
No,
but that's okay.
not at all. Not at all. Well, welcome
Yeah,
back, Nancy.
thank you.
Welcome back, and
I'm
well
really
done.
happy to join you tonight.
Yes,
Thank you.
happy to have you. Well, how about sorry, just a second. I'll let Jasmine finish, and then
Of
I'll
course,
get
please.
back to
Yeah.
you, Nancy. Yes, Jasmine, you were saying.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, no, I was just saying about coaching. I'm not saying that coaching is always the answer. I'm just saying
Right.
it's a good idea to have different tools and techniques up your sleeve
Yeah.
so you can try out different things depending on the situation.
Right.
That's
Right.
it,
So,
really.
so Nancy, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey with coaching and parenting. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's a quite a journey. First, I was in the business field before I moved to coaching because
Right.
I discovered that, yeah, I truly believe in people and I'd like to help them more than working in finance, in the finance world.
Right.
So when I got certified as executive life coach,
Right.
I had a hard time to find my niche. But once I started working with the clients, first of all on a corporate level and with the executives, I discovered that we truly need to work on the life before because it's going to be automatically reflected on the career and on everything else.
Right.
And when I started with the life coaching, um, I dealt with all kinds of people, with men, with women, and with youth. Well,
Yeah.
actually, because I have a son, and
Yeah.
I went into this field because of him, because I want to know how to deal with him, how to be the role model, how to help him overcome the challenges of life, how to be a good parent. So the
Yeah.
coaching helped me a lot, and I discovered that this is the real value. This is what I'm looking for, and this is the niche that I'm looking for. I want
Yeah.
to help parents and the teachers at schools how to deal with their kids, because really it's mandatory, because they are the future after all. They will become the CEO and everyone else who are dealing with them now. They are the future. So why not start with
True.
now with them?
Yeah.
And yeah, this is how we can change the world. Because especially these days with all the stress that we are dealing with all over the world, the parents really are struggling, and they are not knowing if they are doing a good job or not, and they
Yeah.
really need help. But the first step for them to acknowledge and to accept that they need help, that it's okay if there are things that they don't know, or if it's okay if they get help with their kids, because really it's needed and it's beneficial. And this is what I'm seeing through this journey for now.
Yeah.
So yeah, mainly lately I was focusing on the mindful parenting throughout my workshops with the NGOs, with the corporates, at schools, and really we are having very positive impact in this field, especially with the teenagers and sometimes with the kids also, the young kids.
So that's a really good point. So you said you have noticed a positive impact. I was going to ask you about that. How
Yeah.
you said positive. So can you tell us a little bit more about this impact of coaching on
Uh,
parenting?
yes,
Yeah.
of course. Um, I will give you a life example because it was
Yes,
recent
please.
and it was Father's Day.
Yeah.
So I was really, I was not forcing, but I wanted so bad the fathers to become more
Hmm.
involved in the parenting side, not only
Yeah.
the mothers.
Hmm.
So I created an event
Yeah.
under the umbrella of Father's Day to help fathers come, to let them
Yeah.
accept to come to the event because we are celebrating them. And
Yeah.
I included many activities, all related to the communication. So it
Hmm.
was fun, but it was giving them the opportunity to communicate with their kids. And the feedback I received was really amazing, because I heard fathers say, "Well, I never knew that my kids know me so well." I told them, "Yeah, they do. And even
Yeah.
if they don't, now they can through these questions." They were
Yeah.
open-ended questions. They are, you know, they make the kids and the parents think really about the answer, although they were very simple.
Yeah.
So they enjoyed the activity, and they
Right.
enjoyed to get to know their kids, the other
Yeah.
side, not the nagging, not the demanding, the fun part, that we can have fun together, we can communicate openly. It is a
Okay.
safe environment to share any thought that can come up to your mind,
Yeah.
and we are here to accept it and to hear it without any judgment. This is the
Okay.
main message I wanted to deliver, because really we can avoid many problems if the kids feel distrust, that their
Yeah.
parents are there to listen, to
Yeah.
hear without judgment,
Yes.
without looking at them differently. No, we
Hmm.
accept whatever you
Yeah.
are going to say, and we are here for you, and we understand. We listen. The active
Yeah.
listening that we are talking about is mainly to understand. We listen to understand, not only to jump into answers or responses.
Yeah.
So,
And
and also the parents there, I told you they were really amazed by their kids, that they know them. They know what they like, what they don't like, and why they
they
act
do.
like that.
They
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the point you mentioned, Jasmine, when you said communication.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah. So
Communication is a basic in every relationship, not only with the
exactly.
parents, with the colleagues,
yeah.
with friends,
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, communication is so important.
Yeah. And Jasmine, Nancy mentioned trust when it comes to communication. What's your take on that, Jasmine?
Well, I guess it depends what you're communicating about.
Yeah.
So I think it depends, yeah, what you're talking about. Because I think if you're at work, it
Yeah.
depends. You can just have effective communication, but you don't need to be talking about anything really deep and being vulnerable and things like that. So maybe it doesn't matter about trust. But if
Yeah.
you're talking about something, where, like something deep, I don't know, not a work topic, for example, I think, yeah, trust is really, really
Yeah,
important.
yeah, it differs exactly.
If
But
you
with
want
the
people
family,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe
Within
within
the
the
family.
family,
to be
Yeah.
within the
vulnerable,
family.
you need
Yeah.
to be able to trust. Otherwise, it's hard to be vulnerable.
Yeah. So within the family, this
Oh, in the
topic of
family.
trust, yeah,
Yeah.
what happens that sometimes this particular topic that might get a little bit, let's say, shaky? What happens?
Sorry, say that again. I didn't really understand the question.
So Nancy mentioned that from the experiment they did,
Yeah.
right, they found that how they can how they can really bring that trust again, and they find it there and they cherish it.
Well,
So,
yeah, I think.
Yeah, so how can coaching really strengthen that trust within families then?
I guess it takes time. It depends what the relationship's like, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a really unhealthy relationship, then it's going to take longer. But I think, of course, like Nancy was saying, like I said before, you know, it's about listening.
Right.
Listening, because listening, and when you're not jumping in, you're sort of showing the other person that you accept them as well. And I think that acceptance, you know, then you accept them, they probably start to build their trust with you as well. You know, I think it's a process and it can take some time depending on your relationship. You know, like I know with my clients, I know it's not my family, but it takes time. You know, maybe they're not always vulnerable the first session. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But I think it's about listening, stepping back, you know, not judging, asking questions. The really, really simple things.
Right. So here's a question. Let's say before the last question, so we're not going to stretch you or the audience for too long. I'm going to throw in education. Usually, when schools are involved, that's usually a real test for families. So parents want to push their children to do better at schools. Children don't want to do more, don't want to do homework, so parents push them more. And then when relationships start going a little bit, well, they get tested. How coaching can help? Start with, Nancy Abu Jawdeh, go.
Okay. I don't mind. But can I just go back to that trust again? Because I just want to say,
yes, please.
What I've realized about trust is the more you trust yourself, the more, I don't know, I think it's about trusting yourself, which is the most important thing. But anyway, that's just something else. Of course, trusting the other person, but I think when you trust yourself and you know it's going to be okay, whatever the outcome, I feel you're in a stronger position.
I want just to add one thing regarding the trust, especially the trust in the family. Mainly, there is a major factor that the trust comes from unconditional love. And this, I think the parents should show their children since they are very young, that we don't love you because you are good, because you are polite, because you are doing good things. No, it's not. We will love you no matter what. But of course, if you do something wrong, maybe we will get upset, but it's okay. Being upset, being sad is part of life. But this doesn't mean you don't come and you communicate this with us, and we will show you what's the right. This is why we are the parents. But our love will not be affected by that. So when they really believe that they will be loved no matter what, so they have that, then they will trust that they can communicate anything and they can share their thoughts and their emotions freely and openly.
I don't know,
This is very.
I think it depends, because I think, of course, unconditional love, of course, that's very, very, very important. But I think it doesn't mean just because you have that you also have the effective communications and the skills to be able to talk about your emotions. I think families can have a lot of love. You can have a lot of love, can't you? But you might not have the emotional awareness, the education about emotional regulation. So
yeah, of course, this is part of it. But this is one factor that when the kids feel that they will not lose their parents' love or respect, or they can share their thoughts with them. And of course, it's not enough by itself. And another factor.
Because the reason I'm saying that is because from my own personal experience, it wasn't like that at all. Like I grew up in a very loving family, but we didn't know how to talk to each other about emotions, and that was nothing about lack of love. So I think they don't always, one
Go
doesn't mean the
together.
other, but of course you need unconditional love, of course,
We
but just
need,
because
yeah,
you have
and
it, you
yeah.
have it, I don't think it's the answer to.
Yeah, this is why this is one of the factors, but of course they need the education, the awareness, and this is the coaching where
Exactly.
the coaching comes, yeah,
Yeah.
to help in this. But we cannot maybe create this. We can help them to raise awareness about how to love unconditionally, where they are maybe delivering the message wrong, because of course the parents love their children, but maybe they are not showing it the right
Right.
way
Yeah,
or enough and
exactly.
show that it's, yeah, and we can help them how to communicate. Of course, this is what the coaching, how we can coach them. And
Yeah.
another factor is the perfectionism, because this is also for me it
Yeah.
plays a huge role.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with any style of parenting, they tend to make their children feel that they should be perfect. And when
Yeah.
we have this, even as grown-ups, if we
Yeah.
struggle from this, we are stuck. We are stuck,
True.
and we don't feel free with ourselves, free with our life. And it's okay to step out from the comfort zone, to make mistakes, to learn and to grow. And also, this needs the coaching to raise awareness
Exactly.
about this
That's the
point.
thing.
Yeah,
It's all about raising awareness, isn't it? Because if you're not
Raising
aware,
exactly.
awareness.
how do you know what you're doing? So I
Yeah,
think, yeah, like you said, awareness
yeah.
is
It's a mindset change. You know, it's a
exactly.
mentality. It's, yeah, and this is the
You
whole
don't know.
work where
You can
should be
be,
done.
yeah, you could be just, if you haven't, like, before I had coaching, I was
Yeah.
quite aware, but not really when I think about it. Like, coaching makes you aware on a whole new level, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because after all, coaching is about asking these questions, not the yes or no, these open-ended questions, you know, question yourself. So
Yeah.
really think,
yes,
think at a
exactly.
deeper level. Yeah, what's going on? And it all starts with us. So when we
Yeah,
live this experience, we can help others, you know, throughout their journey because we know what they are going through and what they
True.
are feeling and what they are thinking. And this is where we can help the most. This is why we help most effectively when we already overcame the same problem that they had
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they know, yeah, what they are going through.
Right. I'm just talking of awareness and being aware of the time.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Final,
Yeah.
final tips, coaching and parenting, starting with Jasmine.
Final tips on
Yeah.
coaching and parenting.
When I
I
say
think
tips, 102.
I think well, like we've just, I know I'm repeating myself here, but it would
Yeah.
be just take a step back and listen. Just
Right.
listen.
Right.
Ask a question instead of resist the urge to jump in and ask an open question. What do you
Yeah.
need right now? What can I help you with? What action can you take? Just ask a simple question because once you start changing your behavior, your
Yeah.
child will change their behavior as well. It just so listen, ask a question, don't judge. That's what I would say. It's
Okay.
very simple, very simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Very simple, but very interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, truly. Okay, I'd just like to ask the parents. I know that we are all overwhelmed and we are overloaded and everything, but once we're back home, we leave the work outside and
Yeah.
just intentionally give our children at least 30 minutes without any technology around, just to spend the
Yeah.
quality time with them and
Yeah.
ask them to choose the activity that they want to do. And we do whatever they want to do just to spend time with them. We will get to know them better and we will get
Okay.
to understand what they are going through, even if we didn't speak. Maybe from their behavior, maybe from the activity they choose, maybe from, and the talk will come eventually. So just
Without
make sure to
technology.
spend, yeah, without devices, without real.
Okay.
My son called the football real life football, not the FIFA PlayStation. I just want real life football, please. I want ball.
Wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
real life activities, not iPad, no phones, no nothing, no TV. Just
Right.
activities. Spend time with them at least for 30 minutes. I believe if we have the intention and the will, we can all do that, and we will
Right.
discover a lot about our children
Right.
and they will discover about us many things also, and this will be really helpful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Jasmine and Nancy. Appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to all our listeners and viewers, wherever you are. This is our time, unfortunately. Until we see you next time, that's all from us today. This is Jacob from Raise Awareness of Coaching and Education, RACE. And thank you again. Good night, good morning, and bye-bye. Yeah, it might be
Bye.
internet.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Lovely to meet you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Love to see you,
Bye-bye.
Jacob.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, Jacob. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.